there are so many loopholes. Ugh, so I'm not really sad anymore because of episode 3 and 4. Hi everybody, welcome back to Zevaulia with me Zeva, and in this video, let's talk about Game of Thrones. I'm sure that a lot of you know about the Game of Thrones, whether you watch it or not, especially this last season. Season 8 has been hyped so much that even those who don't watch this TV series know about it. But you know what? It's that good. The storyline is just epic. It's based on a book by George R.R. Martin, specifically A Song of Ice and Fire, and then they made it into a TV series on HBO, and it is just fantastic. The last episode was episode 4, season 8, and let me just tell you, it just really fueled my hatred towards Cersei Lannister.
I choose violence.
There were two scenes on episode 4, season 8 that really struck a chord on me. Of course, it was really sad to see Missandei go execution style, but I actually felt even more sadder to see Rhaegal go when he was shot down by Euron. It was really unexpected because I was actually expecting Rhaegal to actually be at the last war, so that really caught me off guard. Another scene was when Ghost met Jon Snow, and like why Jon couldn't just give him a hug or a pat on the head, pat on the back or something, just kind of look at him like that and just walk off. Like, look at the poor thing. Episode 4 was quite chill, but if you think about it, it did give us back the usual old Game of Thrones vibe after all the Walking Dead theme with the White Walkers and everything. But still, I feel that the show is very rushed. In the 3rd episode, there were many loopholes in my opinion. A lot of people said it was a great episode, and it was quite obvious that the directors want like a different route and how the TV series is going compared to the books. But it's still quite annoying. Okay, let me just rant a little. Disclaimer, I'm very happy that Arya killed the Night King. Props to her, emancipation, girl power, woohoo. But I just feel that the episode was so rushed and there were so many loopholes, and I felt that the directors could do more in telling the story of the Night King and why things happened, why things ended the way it ended, and there was a lack of that because everything was so rushed, and to me and to many people out there, it was very anticlimactic. It's not really about Arya killing the Night King. I know that the directors want to catch us off guard, especially when they announced that they have been preparing for that moment for 3 whole years.
And there is only one thing we say to death: not today.
Arya has always been in their minds to be the one that will be killing the Night King.
Where did you get this?
Littlefinger gave it to me because it was meant to kill me.
The cutthroat after your fall.
Someone very wealthy wanted me dead.
But still, there are so many loopholes, like it was so annoying to watch. Ugh. For example, white cavalry is on the front, like literally trebuchet is supposed to be behind the castle walls or at least behind the front lines, not at the very front. Like, you won't see trebuchets in wars, like in front of infantry, in front of barricades. What kind of war strategy is that? If they can pull Battle of the Bastards better, why can't they pull the Great War even better? Why? After a lot of thought into it, and maybe it's just that the directors want to show us the vulnerability of these characters. That's how I came to terms with the really lame strategy that was going on. And another really funny thing that I just have to mention, that I just have to vent, was the fact that why was Jon waiting for Melisandre or like Daenerys to save the day to light up the trench? He was sitting on a dragon next to the Godswood trench. Why can't he just light the fire himself? Like, hello, say Dracarys. Literally, Jon could just say Dracarys. He's been hanging around with the mother of dragons. He should know by now. Another hilarious thing, well, not as hilarious as the Jon situation, but Ser Jorah, did he downgrade his plate of armor? Like, what happened to his plate of armor? If you remember in season 1, he was literally stabbed by the Dothrakis and he didn't die. Did he change plate armors? Like, did he downgrade the plate armors that now when he got stabbed, he instantly died? What happened to his life-saving plate armor? Did he put it into discount and sell it off somewhere? But I guess it was just his time to die. Another funny thing that I caught was about Arya. You know the library scene where she was trying to avoid a few whites that were literally walking like the zombies of the Walking Dead, which is completely different, by the way. So these whites don't walk slowly like the zombies of the Walking Dead. They literally could run and walk faster. They're quite freaky. They remind me of some nemesis on Resident Evil. For that, she was actually slaying like 5 to 10 whites and white walkers at once. And I don't know what happened. Maybe she was burnt out, she was really tired. But anyways, all of this could not top what happened on episode 4 of season 8. I actually thought this was like a cast joke or a crew joke or something. But apparently when I did some reading online, I read some news, it was not a joke at all. Yes, you all fans should know it by now. There was literally a Starbucks cup on the feast scene, on the great dining table scene. How on earth did that happen? Was there like a time traveling situation going on? Like the Avengers Endgame inspiration going on? There was a Starbucks cup! Amelia Clark, Kit Harington, I don't know, somebody was drinking that latte grande or like pumpkin spice on set and forgot to take it away. So it's like a really funny blender. But anywho, enough of that, so let's get into the main substance of this video. It still has a connection to the Game of Thrones. My Game of Thrones palette! At last, it has arrived! So the Game of Thrones x Urban Decay makeup line just arrived in Indonesia for the public at large on the 30th of May. So it was via Sephora Indonesia. I'm super excited. I'm a big fan, so I'm going to also give you my take, not only as an Urban Decay consumer, but also as a GOT fan. Oh my god, so amazingly made! It doesn't smell of Westeros. This is just exquisite. And by the way, Urban Decay is also cruelty free, and I love it when they use cardboard boxes or, like, you know, paper for their palettes, because it is actually definitely more environmentally friendly than plastic palettes and all of that. So this palette was inspired by favorite places in Westeros and the strong women of the Seven Kingdoms. Also, by the way, before we open up this palette, I also want to show you that I also bought the 24/7 Glide-On eye pencil in Lannister Gold. So I was actually gonna buy a few others as well, but apparently not all of the line of this Urban Decay X Game of Thrones is available for Indonesia for some reason. I have no idea why. But anyways, I decided to just buy one of the eyeliners. So we will also test how this looks like soon. And also the box, if you look inside, is actually a map of Westeros. I'm a happy person right now, so I'm not really sad anymore because of episode 3 and 4. This has made my day. It's like a book. I mean, as we know, Game of Thrones is based on a book by George R.R. Martin called A Song of Ice and Fire, so that really explains the concept. Gorgeous! We have to get into the colors because as a GOT fan, I want to see how it really connects to the show. But before I do that, I know that there's an Iron Throne in this palette. Oh, nice! So let me just read this. This is a quote from Daenerys Targaryen. Lannister Targaryen... Oh, wait. Let me read this in Dany's voice. Lannister, Targaryen, Baratheon, Stark, Tyrell, they're all just spokes on a wheel. This one's on top, then that one's on top. On and on it spins, crushing those on the ground.
Dracarys.
Okay, I'm getting a bit dramatic. So this, my ladies and gentlemen, is the Iron Throne. Oh wow, so neat. I know it's just a pop-up, but this is no ordinary pop-up. It's the bloody Iron Throne. Majestic. It says, never forget what you are. The rest of the world will not. Wear it like an armor, and it can never be used to hurt you. Tyrion Lannister. Ooh, I just love it. The Hand of the Queen. This is definitely a collector's item. I know if you're not really into the show, this might be a bit extra, but everything is extra with Game of Thrones. And unpredictable. Okay, my first impression when I looked at this palette, I think the colors are pretty. Some colors I just wish were some other colors. Some names of the shades I would like to beg to question and beg to differ. But all in all, it's a nice mix of various hues of colors, and there's also some transformer colors to choose from that will really make your eyeshadows pop. Let's do some swatches. Okay, so after the swatches, my take is that at first, when you look at this palette, you will feel that some colors may seem a bit dull, but then when you actually swatch it, it really is not dull. It was really nice to swatch it. It was smooth. I'm not sure about the blendability yet because I haven't tried making a makeup look with these shades yet. The one thing that really struck my attention was House Targaryen. These aren't actually the colors that I would first think of if I had to make a palette for Daenerys or the House Targaryen as a whole. But then when I kind of thought about it, I suddenly remembered that based on the books, Daenerys' eyes are actually purple. And then I also remembered that I read an article back in the day where Emilia Clarke said in an interview that she was actually supposed to wear purple contact lenses, but it really influenced how she was performing, so she wasn't very comfortable wearing those purple contact lenses, and then they decided to just ditch it so she will act more naturally, you know, without the contact lenses on. And that makes perfect sense now why the Urban Decay team decided to go for purpley shades, a jewel toned shades. It's based on her eyes. Now let's get to per section and assess it even further. So for the north section, I think that this represents really well. Really gorgeous metallic blue, royally blue. I love it. It's really gorgeous, and it perfectly depicts what White Walkers and the Night King are. From the naming of the shades, they're all fine. And a bit about Hardhome, it kind of brings back me memories. So Hardhome was one of the episodes in Game of Thrones. It was in season 5. So it was after the Castle Black battle. Jon Snow and Tormund, they were on their way to Hardhome. So Hardhome is a bay area where a lot of the free folk live. So they want to actually convince the free folk to join them and go back to Castle Black. But then what happened was Night King himself, the White Walkers, invaded Hardhome, and there was a battle going on there. A lot of people died, a lot of free folk died, and then, you know, they were resurrected by the Night King. They became whites, and only a few of the actual free folk returned back to Castle Black with Tormund and also with Jon Snow. Totally remember that episode. That was really epic. Now let's go on to House of Stark. So House of Stark as a collective, I think the shades are pretty, they're gorgeous. It gives me the autumn kind of fall feels, and I really love wirewood leaves and the site. So wirewood leaves, it's from the wirewood tree. Now this wirewood tree is symbolic of the religion of the old gods, so from the first man and beyond. That was really interesting, and the color is also perfect to depict the autumny moments of the wirewood tree. For the side, it reminds me of the green side, of course. That's what Bran Stark has as a warg, and also the Children of the Forest, they also have the side like Bran. So it's really cool that they've inserted that, so that's totally awesome. Now on to House of Lannister. Now for this one, if I have to be totally honest, and anyway, I'm always honest on my channel, it could actually be much more better than this. It's just a bit meh in my opinion for the colors. I mean, in the end it all blends well, but if you really want to go Game of Thrones, they could have gone better. The two colors that I have a bit of a problem with is House Lannister and Lannister Red. So even though that they swatch really nicely, but for example, when I look at Lannister Red, the first thing that I would picture is Cersei herself. And it'll actually be great if that color is like blood red wine kind of color, because as we know, Cersei, she's a total alcoholic. She's very obsessed with her red wine, and I think that would be perfect if you could put the red wine color for Lannister Red instead of this one. And also House of Lannister, if you look at the banner, House of Lannister is a red and gold color. Maybe if they named it something else that would represent the color more. If a lighter color is what the team is looking for. If I look at the color, it's very like nudie, peachy, pinky, innocent looking. Why can't it be named, for example, Marcella? Because Marcella is one of Cersei Lannister's children, her daughter that passed away, that was poisoned to death. So that would be a better option for a name. Nevertheless, these colors for House Lannister, they go together very well. They're neutral, earthy tones. But yeah, if I was the person behind it, I would definitely change these two colors. Now for House Targaryen. Good thing that I noticed that this has a connection with the color of Daenerys Targaryen's eyes in the books. This does make sense if you think from that perspective, because you know the banner of House Targaryen is actually black and red. But of course we have to look into it and see where the creators are coming from. And when you look at the shade Stormborn, we're reminded of the day when Dany shared how she was born in the midst of a storm. And Dothraki, perfect, sandy, goldy, sandy colors. Bend the knee. That is a very Daenerys Targaryen quote.
You're here to bend the knee. I will fight for the North when you bend the knee. Bend the knee and join me.
And then the Bay of Dragons. Bay of Dragons is actually an area where there were a lot of slavery going on. So before it was called Bay of Dragons, it was actually called Slaver's Bay. But then Daenerys Targaryen, the breaker of chains, she freed a lot of slaves in the area and then she renamed Slaver's Bay into Bay of Dragons. Overall, I would definitely recommend you to purchase this palette, especially if you are a big GOT fan like myself. As we all know, this is the very last season, unless there's a miraculous change and suddenly the directors give us a surprise at the very last episode of season 8 and say, hey, we're actually gonna make another new season, surprise! Which I don't think that will ever happen. So with this GOT palette could be some sort of a memorabilia of your GOT stunning, and it is a perfect gift for anyone that you know who's into makeup and who's into Game of Thrones. Especially knowing this is an environmentally friendly and cruelty-free brand. From this palette alone, there's so many looks that you can make. Even though there's only 16 colors and also 4 transformers, you can make nude looks, you can also make ethereal feminine looks, even smoky and dramatic looks using these metallic mattes and shimmers. If you're not a GOT fan and you have a lot of these colors here already, you may want to rethink whether you want to splurge your money, because the price is quite expensive. It's not cheap. Even though similar colors across brands could have different formulas and different consistencies, which will result in various blendability, richness, and even stay-on power. So there are many factors out there why people would want to collect similar colors across various brands. If you're not a GOT fan and you're more of the spending conscious consumer and or you're more environmentally conscious and you don't want to burn so much of your money for various makeup products out there and it's just too wasteful for you, it is better to rethink whether you want to purchase this product or not. But at the end of the day, it is your choice whether you want to purchase this palette or not. Previously, I also shared how I also bought the 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in Lannister Gold. When I swatched this, it went on super smooth. It glided effortlessly on my arm. It is that beautiful. And the color was so blinding. It was so gorgeous. You can really see the gold shine through. Look forward in the near future, I will be making a video of a few makeup looks inspired by the strong, independent women of Westeros.